So if Connor McDavid was to come in 2026 to the Toronto Maple Leafs, so with this right now, they would have, let's just structure it as if Nick Robertson maybe comes back or David Kampf comes back, just for argument's sake, all right? So they actually have a lot of their forwards locked up. So they have 9 of 12 forwards in roster spots here. Then defense spots, they have 6 defensemen, right, locked up. Then they have Joseph Woll, and then Stolarz is going to get re-signed. We don't know what that number is going to be. I think if they're re-signing guys like Stolarz and then trying to go for a big fish like McDavid, David Kampf will be moved. So keep that in mind. But Connor McDavid, so as this stands, they have $24 million of cap space, as you can see here. So even if McDavid goes for like $18 million to the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're going to have some space still beyond that. So say they go McDavid, 7-year deal, 18 per. All right? The Leafs would still have almost $7 million of cap space, and they basically have all of their forward spots locked up. I think if you also go after McDavid and get McDavid, Tavares ends up becoming a winger. I think with his, he's going to keep getting slower and slower as he gets older, so I think it makes sense for him to be a winger. You do something like this. Tavares, McDavid, Nylander. It's actually ridiculous how good how good that could be. And then Matthews, Nyes, Domi, Waugh, Joshua, and then I think at that point, Cowan makes the team next year. So you got Cowan with Waugh and Joshua, or Cowan with Matthews and Nyes, and then Joshua, Waugh, Domi, and then Kampf. If Kampf has to be your fourth line center, it's not a bad thing. I think you try to trade Kampf, but just for argument's sake, we're not going to make any trades. I just want to show that they can be cap compliant. And then Lorentz, and then say it's Pizzetta. I don't think it's going to be Pizzetta. I think they would want an upgrade on that fourth line, but if your fourth line is your weak spot, but you have that kind of top 9 where it's Tavares, McDavid, Nylander, Cowan, Matthews, Nyes, and Joshua, Waugh, Domi, that's pretty legit. Then your defense group is set. Look at the cap space you still have, guys. And then that's where you could sign Mr. Anthony Stolarz. So Stolarz for me, it depends on what the deal is. I've been hearing that it's actually going to be under 5. I thought it would be $5 million per year for Stolarz. I've heard it could be under 5. So I'll go maybe like a 4-year deal, $4.5 million per. Something like that, maybe. And you still have cap flexibility with a roster that's compliant. So my point is, yes, the Toronto Maple Leafs can afford Connor McDavid. They could trade David Kampf, get even more flexibility. But that is an NHL, top 5 roster in the league. If you can get McDavid, that's a crazy top 9. And again, the fourth line definitely could have some improvements there. There's no doubt about it. I think you would want to try to trade Kampf and then go after 2 guys that replace Kampf and Pizzetta there on that fourth line. Try to keep Lawton if you can. That defense group is obviously super solid as well. And then your goaltending is Stolarz and Woll at a really reasonable overall number. Keep in mind, you have a lot of depth for the defense group. Ben Danford might even be ready next year, so that's another thing to keep in mind. But I think that's a legit forward group. I think Jacob Quillen's going to have an opportunity. Where's Nick Robertson going to fit? So there's so many different variables. As I said, you try to bring back Lawton, but I think the biggest thing is if McDavid leaves Edmonton, which I still think he's going to stay at Edmonton. I want to make that clear. But if he was to leave Edmonton, Toronto would have one of the most legit opportunities to get Connor McDavid. And it's not like it's like a hometown discount, him coming home and him taking a cheaper deal and he gets elsewhere. 18 million is right in the mix. I think 18 million is a great deal long term, right? He gets to play home, and Tavares on the wing with McDavid and Nylander. That is going to be that would be a ridiculous line. And then Matthews, Nyes, and Cowan. That's probably the best second line in the league. So, anyways, I just wanted to make that point. That's cap compliant, guys. That'd be a cup winning team probably. So, give me your thoughts, but that could be pretty crazy. As I said, I still think McDavid stays in Edmonton, but It would not be a Toronto thing that wouldn't let this happen. TRELIVING would be going for it.